I'm Jenny from Silver Spring Placenta Arts, and we're going to discuss what we know about the placenta and the benefits you can potentially derive from consuming your placenta postpartum, a practice formerly known as placentophagy. But before we get to postpartum, let's talk a little bit about pregnancy. Pregnancy is pretty amazing. Your uterus grows to more than 5 times its normal size with a capacity of 500 times more than before you conceived. Your breasts prepare to make milk, your internal organs move, your rib cage spreads, your pelvic ligaments soften, and your entire posture changes to accommodate the weight of your baby and to prepare for the adventure of childbirth. And working behind the scenes the entire time to make growing a healthy baby possible is your placenta. Have you ever stopped to think about your placenta? If you're like most women, the answer to that question is a resounding nope. But the placenta is an astonishing organ. Your body built it from scratch in the very earliest stages of pregnancy. The placenta is a facilitator organ, allowing for the exchange of nutrients and gases between your bloodstream and your baby's bloodstream, growing and sustaining your baby while he or she is in the womb. After your baby is born, you get to do all the sustaining, so your body gets rid of the placenta. Most placentas meet their fate in the hospital incinerator. But did you know that your placenta is chock full of vitamins, minerals, hormones, and other compounds that can help to sustain you through the postpartum period? This is a time when healing and replenishing your body from the rigors of pregnancy and childbirth is critical. So let's take a closer look at what's in your placenta and how it can potentially help you avoid some common postpartum complaints and help you to have a happier and healthier life with your new baby. All right, here we go. Gonadotrophin, prolactin, oxytocin, thyroid-stimulating hormone, thyroxine, interferon, hemoglobin, iron, urokinase-inhibiting factor, gamma-globulin, placental opioid-enhancing factor, corticotropin-releasing hormone, vitamin B6, and a ton of other good stuff. Now I hear you saying, well, all that sounds great, but what can it do for me? Well, let's start with the biggie, postpartum mood disorders. 9 to 16% or up to 1 in 7 women are diagnosed with postpartum depression or some other form of postpartum mood disorders. And that's just the cases that are reported. Some experts believe that the actual number of cases of postpartum mood disorders could be as high as 20% of all postpartum women. Among women who suffered postpartum depression in previous pregnancy, the prevalence increases to 41%. For half of all women diagnosed with postpartum depression, it's their very first episode of depression. So what can your placenta do for the baby blues, postpartum depression, and other postpartum mood disorders? Well, some researchers at NIH have discovered that new mothers have lower than normal levels of a stress and depression-fighting hormone known as corticotropin-releasing hormone, or CRH, which is normally produced by the hypothalamus. The placenta produces huge amounts of CRH during late pregnancy. After the placenta is gone, levels drop precipitously, and it takes a little while for the hypothalamus to realize that it really has to ramp up production. While there is no one cause for all postpartum mood disorders, low levels of CRH have been linked to depression. Now, guess what your placenta is full of? If you said CRH, then you get a gold star. Another really common postpartum complaint is fatigue. Even if you weren't dealing with around-the-clock feedings, recovering from pregnancy and birth is hard work. Fatigue can be caused by iron deficiency, thyroid dysfunction, or common postpartum infections such as mastitis and urinary tract infections. Also around-the-clock feedings. The savvy mama who pops placenta pills postpartum gets personalized doses of iron, which deals with iron deficiency anemia, thyroid-stimulating hormone, which boosts thyroid function, which in turn boosts energy levels, and gamma-globulin, which is an immune booster that protects against postpartum infections. Fatigue is a major risk factor in postpartum depression, so dealing with the root cause can head these issues off at the pass. An average-sized placenta contains up to 170 milligrams of iron. That packs a big punch against anemia, fatigue, and possibly even postpartum depression. All postpartum women deal with bleeding, after pains, and the general soreness associated with birth. Once the baby and the placenta have vacated the premises, your uterus needs to clamp down quickly to stop postpartum bleeding and return to its non-pregnant size. Now, amazingly enough, your placenta contains the goods to make that happen more quickly. Do you know what that magic hormone is? It's oxytocin. Yes, that oxytocin, the same oxytocin that started and sustained labor contractions and is released during breastfeeding. Do you know why many doctors routinely administer Pitocin immediately after birth? It's because Pitocin is a synthetic form of oxytocin and, wait for it, it helps the uterus clamp down after birth. Now, I know a few midwives who have a little secret of their own for preventing or stopping a postpartum hemorrhage. A smoothie given immediately after birth containing a small piece of the placenta and fruit and stuff, so you don't have to taste the placenta. This does the same job as synthetic hormones, but without the synthetic hormones. Consuming the placenta postpartum can help shrink the uterus down more quickly, thus minimizing postpartum bleeding and those crummy after pains that are associated with uterine involution. Oxytocin is also known as the love hormone. It is surging in your body during labor and breastfeeding and is part of what makes you fall in love with your baby. That and those cheeks. Placental blood is also rich in stem cells, which have a regenerative function. Now, instead of tossing those amazing little cells into the incinerator, consider how they might be of help to you in faster healing after birth, particularly if you had any perennial tears or gave birth via C-section. Now, another amazing compound that your placenta contains is called placental opioid enhancing factor, or POEF for short. Research has found that POEF seems to be involved in the elevation of pain threshold. POEF builds during late pregnancy, peaks at or just before birth, and drops during the first 9 to 12 hours postpartum. Most mammals consume their placenta immediately postpartum, and the existing research seems to hint that consuming the POEF in the placenta can sort of take the edge off of those after pains that we talked about. Now, I have to be clear here. There are no opioids in your placenta. POEF simply enhances the naturally occurring opioids that are produced as part of the whole pregnancy, labor, birth hormonal dance. Last but not least on the list of common postpartum concerns is, will I have enough milk? Many of the causes of low milk supply are situational rather than physiological. Supplementing with formula, using pacifiers or bottles too early, using nipple shields without talking to a lactation consultant, a super sleepy baby, or relying on scheduled feedings instead of nursing on demand. Obviously, sometimes health issues with the mom can affect supply. Women with uncontrolled anemia or hypothyroidism can have low supply. A postpartum hemorrhage can affect supply, as can an infection or a retained placenta. Now, we've already talked about how the placenta has things that can potentially aid in all of these problems. It has iron to help combat anemia. It has thyroid stimulating hormone, which boosts your thyroid function. It has oxytocin, which helps to clamp down and stop postpartum bleeding. And it has gamma globulin, which helps your immune system fight off those common postpartum infections. It also has prolactin, which, as its name might imply, promotes lactation. Now, a study done in Europe showed that 86% of participants had a positive reaction to ingesting dried placenta when attempting to boost milk supply. Now, more research is needed in this area, but those are pretty good numbers in my opinion, and anecdotal evidence continues to pile up every day from women around the world who have used placenta remedies to boost their milk supply. So what conclusions can you draw about placentophagy? Well, the research has clearly shown us what is in the placenta and the exciting potential that consuming the placenta has for remedying common postpartum concerns. Now, as with everything about your body, your baby, your birth, the choice is yours. But I hope that now the idea of consuming your placenta isn't as hippy-dippy or far-fetched as it was at the beginning of this video. So take a minute to consider the evidence and then join the thousands of women every year who enjoy the benefits from their very own homemade powerhouse of healing, the completely amazing placenta.